I hate to say it, but Rachel Maddow is worried Trump will send her and other civilians to camps. Yes, I'm worried about me, but only as much as I'm worried about all of us. Rachel, say it isn't so. I am now terrified of Donald Trump because he's going to round up liberals and put them in internment camps.
Camping is quite lovely. If you have a good tent and a nice location, they act as if this guy were not president for 4 years. Right? I mean, he didn't go after, much to some people's dismay, he didn't go after his political enemies. He didn't shut down the networks. He didn't shut down the New York Times or the Washington Post. So what planet do these people
No, Rachel Maddow knows Trump is not going to put her in an internment camp. She's just trying to scare the 70-year-olds who watch MSNBC.
Yeah.
Her and AOC. AOC had something similar this week. She was saying Donald Trump's going to, come after me and lock me up or whatever. Like, I think it's so ridiculous. On the other hand, they keep going back to this, well, now Donald Trump is seeking vengeance. He's seeking revenge because no Democrat has ever been vindictive ever in life.
But the reason they think this is because it is within their mind.
Yeah.
They would do it, so certainly Trump will do it.
Yeah.
What they're telling on themselves. They're basically saying, we want you in camps. You've already got the Democrat in New York saying, this MAGA nightmare, after it, we got to put these people in re-education camps. Maybe we shouldn't call them camps. It's not the first time a Democrat has said Trump supporters need to go to re-education camps.
Yeah. Maxine Waters has called them domestic terrorists.
What they're doing is telling on themselves, and they're sending a warning to you. They believe Trump will do it because they know they would do it.
Yeah.
And so they assume that Trump is going to be like they are.
The AOC interview I saw, and all I could think of was that meme from Breaking Bad, because the whole presidential election was about herself, and that meme from Breaking Bad, like, it's all about me. Like, what do you think of what do you think of this election? And AOC was like, it's about me. It's about what he's going to do to me. It's like, well, maybe this presidential election, maybe just this one time, this one little thing isn't about you.
Sorry, she's the main character. It's only about her.
I'm thinking about the January 6 people that are in prison for nonviolent trespassing.
All of this. It's all about me.
Yep.
It could be existential guilt. Like the people that are in jail from January 6th that did not commit violence, that were trespassing, that are actually still in jail, that's got to be weighing on people's conscience.
Oof.
Well, the mainstream media,
not the left.
Trump had this rally in Nevada over the weekend. Nevada, I don't know how you guys say it. He had this rally and he referenced the January 6th political prisoners. He called them hostages. And the mainstream media was like, how he's crazy. That's so ridiculous. This is great. But there are a ton of people who were treated terribly by the justice system who were not giving outs that a Democrat or a liberal-leaning person would have. Obviously we know that people who rioted during the summer of 2020 were not brought up on charges the way people who were present at January 6th were. It is kind of wild to me that this is one of these issues that some people see completely differently than people who are appearing on television or writing for mainstream media.
There has yet to be an arrest for the Hamas protests outside of the White House over this weekend that defaced all the Civil War memorials. They threw bottles at cops. So, yeah, it depends upon what you're protesting, whether or not you are hunted down by the FBI or let go.
Well, those people are in camps. As far the nonviolent offenders that were trespassing that are still being held without trial are in camps. You just called prison cells. It's a much harsher environment than camps. So, people have been put in camps, Rachel. They're actually in the camps right now. And apparently they weren't violent.
That's why she thinks she's going there.
Yeah, wake up. That's your own guilt, man.
Yep.
You're doing this to these people with your complacency by not speaking up to get them out.
But
she's doing more than complacency. She's an advocate. She's a mouthpiece in support of locking people in solitary.
But look at this campaign is all going to hinge on fear and hyperbole. I mean, the president's speech today about guns, everyone's going to die of a gun wound. Climate change, we're all going to die from climate change. He's going to put you in camps. Trump's going to, if this was a popular president with some sort of a record to show for the last 3.5 years, you wouldn't have to be spinning the hyperbole or the hypothetical, extreme hypothetical of what will happen if we elect this guy. Just tell us why we should elect you, Joe. Rachel, rather than tell us what will happen if Trump wins, tell us why we should elect the guy currently who holds the job. It's easier to get reelected. Right? That was one of the main reasons why everyone was surprised at the 2020 election. It is very hard to knock out an incumbent president. It's happened very few times. It's easier to get reelected. So why should you just vote for Biden? Who cares about Trump? Why should I vote for the guy who currently has the job? And they can't. The answer is, if you vote for Trump, gonna go to camp. Which, again, camp is nice.
Trump should come out and be like, I'm going to send them all to space camp. They're going to learn about NASA and spaceships.
He was very pro our space program. He tried to move to Alabama. He was supportive of it. Didn't he start the space?
He did,
too?
yes.
Like, Trump, that is very possible.
And they made fun of
say-
him for it.
Anyone convicted of a crime should go to the island.
I heard you talking about the island.
The island. Ian's for the
Oh,
island.
I didn't say that. Well,
He's
tell me
for
about it.
No, he just doesn't want to admit it.
I want to hear about this island you've got. So we're making
That's what
fake
you've been,
island?
right? This whole time you've been
It's the
gone?
most humane way to deal with
That
prisoners.
was on the island.
We stop funding all these prisons,
Doing some research.
and then people who engage in, I'm talking about super max prisons and maximum security, people who are violent offenders, instead of the death penalty, instead of life in prison and, whatever, we just send you to an island. We say, good luck. You live on the island now.
They did that back in the day, and they called it Australia.
That's right, they did. And it worked out really well. Look at them. Now they've got Vegemite, and good for them. And
And they have
shrimp on the
Christmas
Barbie.
during the summer. It's great. They have
I
all the
know. You see,
culture.
it all worked out for everybody.
It would be a fascinating if you could follow them and see what society they would build.
Reality show.
I mean, like a Truman Show meets Lost. Like
it.
what would happen?
Truman Show meets Lost means like we create weird smoke monsters to harass them.
Truman Show meets what's the movie with
Survivor?
Tom Hanks? No, where he
Oh,
goes-
Castaway.
Truman Show meets Castaway, and we see what
Hey, look,
society
I
would these
don't-
convicts create.
I don't like the death penalty, So I say we just island. You get to live. You have the full reign of God's green earth, but just away from us.
I bet you people would choose the island.
Absolutely. Yeah. It is much more humane.
Yeah.
There is some researcher who is like, I will approach ABC for the funding for this show, because I think it is interesting to see what kind of structures people create when they're on their own, especially if the idea is like, you can't be here because we have a certain moral code and culture and you violated it, so go somewhere else and either fall back in line and create this kind of culture or make your own culture and see what happens.
That's the ultimate Locke versus Hobbes debate, right? Of where is man's virtue? Is it in society, or does society make him, an animal? It's Lord of the Flies. It would be a really interesting thing.
They've done this, and they found that extreme violent offenders who were sent to an island, all the criminal tendencies were gone because they had to survive now. They no longer had a system that gave them whatever they wanted. So in modern civilization, you can walk up to someone and steal the food and you're good. So these people who are criminals are just taking whatever they want. But when they're on an island with nothing, there's no one to steal from, save another guy who's equally as capable as he is and now a real threat. There is no robbery, there is no theft, only risk. So the only thing you can do is figure out how to survive. And what do? Start growing food, start fishing, setting up camp, fires, get a cabin going.
Build
Interesting
community.
stuff.
You got to build community in those situations, and they're going to come get you at night.
And I bet you they have the swiftest justice imaginable, because there will be one bad apple, and
They're all bad apples.
I bet you the one person who does though mess up is dealt with severely.
They've done these studies where they take violent offenders, muggers, carjackers, and they make them watch videos of people. And they'd say, we're going to show you a video of a person walking down the street. We want you to tell us if this is a person that you would consider robbing. The people that were chosen overwhelmingly had been victims of robberies before. The predators, the criminals, can see the weakness in the person and know they're a good target to get whatever they want. So these people actually had been victims of violent crime, were filmed walking, and the criminals were like, yeah, I'd rob that person.
Wow.
And the people who are stronger and more, standing upright, paying attention, that's too big of a risk. They stay away from them. You take a guy who goes to prison for, he gets charged with attempted murder for trying to rob a store, and he critically injures someone or he kills someone in the process. So they're like, that's life in prison or the death penalty. Instead, the island. What happens? Well, this guy's on an island with another guy who's just like him. These guys are going to be like, that's not a target. You cannot, they will, that's chaos. So they just say, yeah, I'm not fighting that guy. I'm not going to be able to steal from that guy. We're just not going to go about it. And then what do? They start fishing. There you go. The island.
It's interesting.
That is.
Rachel Maddow, I don't know, though. She can not go to jail because she's just a talking head on TV. I don't know why. I don't know what she thinks she did illegal. You know,
I don't know.
Well, she's just going to be persecuted. But
she's
when people on the right think they're being persecuted, that's fake. They made it up.
Comey said it too. He was very overt. He was like, "Oh, if Donald Trump gets elected again, they're coming after." I don't know. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but he was like,
I heard FBI agents are fleeing the country or preparing to.
"Wow."
But if they have nothing to be worried about, if they've done nothing wrong, if they've committed no crimes, right? Well, like, again, what does she have to be worried about? She's committed no crime. She's a talking head on a popular television program.
I wouldn't be surprised if she has communications behind the scenes, which could prove conspiracy.
Well, that's a little bit different then, right?
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, when Garland was Matt Garland was testifying, when Matt Gaetz said, "Can you send us the communications between you guys and these prosecutors?" He's like,
No.
And he's like, whoa, and he's like, "You're implying a conspiracy." He's like, "No, I'm not. I just said, can you send us communications? It's public record." No, because they got him, and they've been doing it, and they know they're doing it.
Yeah.
But the problem is, the average American doesn't pay attention to anything. And so they only hear passive news from people who don't know what's going on.
Yeah. And that's why you see all these statements laced with buzzwords, right? The term camps, she knows that that's going to trigger a certain emotion for people. Or when Trump was convicted, the Biden-Harris campaign released this statement, saying, he is a convicted felon, this, that, and the other. But the thing is, we need to vote because the other side is threatening political violence. I've never heard that from any Trump supporter. I don't hear anything about that. It's always coming from, I would argue, the Biden-Harris campaign that is using this term political violence over and over again to try to trigger sort of a primal fear because people don't want to go into a time of violence. Of course, that makes sense, right? But I'm not actually hearing that I'm only hearing it from one side, and it's definitely the Democrats.
Yeah. Yeah, the political violence is always funny because the week after Trump held that huge rally in Wildwood, New Jersey with 100-something thousand and there were no arrests, the week after there were numerous arrests on the boardwalk of just youth incidents. And so it always does seem that whenever the right, they found Hunter Biden guilty, I didn't see any violence. When Trump was found guilty, there was acts of self-immolation, which is a form of violence.
More stable here?
Exactly. I saw Hunter Biden was guilty, and I was like, "Oh, look at that, guilty." I didn't
tend to your sheep.
Go to cellar. Yeah, so it's a little different which side tends to be the violent. The FBI ones, though, I saw that report of the supposedly fleeing the country, hopefully to countries that have extradition. There are FBI agents who have done some criminal things, and I do hope they are prosecuted. More than anything, are the ones who targeted families that were going to Latin Mass. I mean, that is under my skin for 3 years now because it's not a crime, and it's evil to say, well, I'll just follow him, see what he does, right? I mean, so yeah, there are some FBI agents who should be worried.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.